All right, for this video, we're going to be adding an anchor tag, or sometimes you might hear adding an href. We're going to add it to some text, and then we're going to add a target attribute and force that link to open into a new window. We're going to apply an anchor tag to a web address so that it appears as though it's a web address, but it's going to go to somewhere more specific. Then we're also going to add some CSS to remove the underline from the link, and we're going to change the link color after it's been visited. And we're going to add some additional CSS so that when you hover over it, it is again a completely different color. So stay tuned. All right, so as you can see, we have some text here, Tim Berners-Lee. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a tag around that. If you have ever heard that phrase before, that is what we are about to do here. So I am going to href equals, and then in that equal sign is where we add our website. Okay, and in there it's going to go HTTPS and then www.w3.org/people Berners-Lee. All right, and what that's going to do is it's going to turn Tim Berners-Lee into a hyperlink. Now, if I click on it in this particular window here, because we are not forcing it to go outside of the window, it's going to open in this frame here. As you can see, that's what happens. All right, so I'm going to refresh it, and that'll get us back to our original pen. And now I'm going to add an attribute to open it in a separate window. And we do that by creating a target attribute. And within that, we'll add the keyword blank. Okay, these are key value pairs. So this is your key, this is your value. And when we add that, we'll save that. And now you're going to see it open up into a new tab. Okay, like so. And generally, when you're building a website, a good reason to open it into a separate window is simply because you don't want people to leave your site. So if you're navigating to another page on your own site, then it's not a good idea to use target blank. But if you're taking someone off of your site, then it might be a good idea to use it. And that way they can just close it and they'll still be right on your site without having to hit the back button a bunch of times. All right, the next one we're going to do here is it looks like a website, and when it displays in HTML, it's not by default clickable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this to my clipboard here, and I'm going to add an anchor tag around it. Again, there's that terminology. Okay, and we'll add the target attribute ahead of time this time. Okay, and then in here, HTTPS, oops, and then I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to put /stats. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to take us to a different site. But if you'll notice down in the lower left-hand corner, you'll notice when I hover over it, there is the actual address that we're going to go to. So it shows as internetworldstats.com, but it's going to go to internetworldstats.com /stats. And we'll do that by clicking on it. Okay, we go to it, we arrive at this new page, all right, and now we're going to add some CSS in here to style these links. Now, styling links is fairly straightforward. It can be confusing your first couple times doing it, but once you understand how CSS and cascading style sheets work, eventually you'll come to understand how assigning styles and declarations to your styles in the style sheet, how that all works. So the first thing we want to do is we want to remove the underline from all links. So we do that by adding an A, okay? That is your selector, okay? A, and then we'll open up some curly braces. And how you format your styles is entirely up to you. I like to have my selector and my opening curly brace on one line, and I like to have my closing curly brace on a completely separate line. And then I like to put all of my actual styles in between. Okay, so for this, I'm going to do text decoration, and I'm going to put none. And now you're going to watch as the underlines disappear from these links here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another style where visited links are going to turn, let's say, yellow. Okay. And we'll open this up. Now, color yellow. And you can use semantic colors. You can, if you know of a hex code that's yellow, I don't know one off the top of my head. You can use that as well. Now, right now, they're both showing as yellow, even though we haven't visited both of them. But that is because we need to add the visited. Okay, now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go to one of these links. Okay, and then I'm going to back out of it. And why isn't that turning yellow? Let's see here. Okay, I think it was because I was in incognito. Before, I have opened this in a non-incognito window, and I was probably unable to cache the link. Now the links are cached, so now if I go to visit it and I return to it, now it will turn yellow. All right. I haven't visited this one yet, so it's not going to. I haven't visited this in a non-incognito window, so it's not going to change. Now we're going to add another style here. We're going to change the color of the link when it's hovered. Okay, and again, we'll add this in. Let's do something really out there. Let's do magenta. All right. So now, right until I add a, these are called pseudo classes. Until I add a pseudo class for hover, it's going to show, this one is visited, so it's going to be yellow. This one is not visited, so it's going to turn magenta. But once I type in hover, okay, this will return, and I'm going to save it. And now when I hover over it, it's going to turn magenta. This one will also turn magenta, okay? Only when it's hovered, though. Now, this one is unvisited. So if I visit this link, okay, let that page load, then I'll close it. Now, why isn't that turning yellow? I don't know. It's possible that okay, it must be holding on to that particular link in the cache. So visited is turning yellow, and except for this one for some reason. And when you hover, it's turning magenta. And I wonder, because now the yellow one is not turning magenta. So let's change that back. Now they're both turning magenta. Okay, so now you're starting to see some of the things you run into with links and how troublesome they can be styling anchor tags. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I am going to leave the link to this CodePen in the description as well. As always, please subscribe. The more you subscribe, the more videos I can make. We'll see you next time.